Hello guys, how are you all, and welcome to another episode. Today guys, I am bringing you the Pluto in Aquarius. So Pluto is going to be in and out of Aquarius. It's going to go in and out of Capricorn. So on the 23rd of March it goes into Aquarius, then it retrogrades 11th of June 2023 into Capricorn, then it re-enters Aquarius on the 21st of January 2024. Then its final visit is in September the 1st, 2024, and then it stays in until 2043 in Aquarius. So on November the 19th, it goes into Aquarius for the next 20 years. After then it dips in and out of Pisces and Aquarius. Okay, and after then it stays into Pisces 2044. So, with Pluto's been in Capricorn since 2008. And what a long, hard slog it has been. This episode I'm bringing you is like my take. And it's, I'm sure a lot of you have heard what could happen during Pluto in Aquarius. And I'm going to probably try and keep this quite short because remember, Aquarius is ruled by Uranus. And for me, that means that anything can happen. Even though there are like great predictions that are coming up, I just still believe that anything can happen. Now, if we're going to go a bit back to when Pluto went into Capricorn, it entered Capricorn on the 26th of January 2008. Then it went into retrograde in Sagittarius to June 2008. Then it went back into Capricorn in 27th of November. Then and that's what happened, and we're still in it. We're nearly at the end of it. So with Pluto, it does take 248 years to like move around the whole zodiac cycle, and it tends to spend, it really does depend. It tends to spend it depends on the generation as well, 12 years or even 15 years in a sign. And obviously we're all going to be feeling it, regardless if you're not of that generation, we're all going to be feeling it. And Pluto, it does rule transformation, it's death, it's rebirth. It's very a psychic planet. It's ruled by Scorpio. So even with the themes of Scorpio, which is, death, rebirth, transformation, the psyche, sexual things as well. This is about how we are going to be, digging up certain things in order for all of us to evolve. And personally, I felt that when it was in Sagittarius, it was a great time because I'm Pluto in Libra, and my generation, 1972, 71, 72 to 83, 84, or even 85, because they still got that energy of Pluto in Libra. I felt like that generation, especially the 80s kids, we really came up in the late 90s, in the noughties. And Sagittarius does rule things to do with like religion. It's very much, I was going to say a cult, but it can be, but it's definitely to do with like religion, publishing, our belief systems as well. And a lot of that, of course, was definitely highlighted, especially on like a global scale with art, entertainment. It was Sagittarius also rules race as well, racism. And a lot of preaching going on. But when it was so things felt a bit more, because it was mutable, things definitely felt a bit more, everyone was sort of coming together, different races were coming together, things were a little bit more open, there was it was basically a great time. And then it went into Capricorn in 2008, and things felt a bit stifled. Now, I could be controversial saying this, but it felt stifled because of there was a generation that Obviously, it's not their fault, because that's the time that they were born. But Capricorn, it rules structure, hierarchy, it's business, it's global, it's finance, it's the government, it's higher ups, it's your bosses, it's to do with authority, it's also to do with power. And when you get that with the Pluto, it more or less makes it explode. So there was a rise of all of that happening during from 2008 to 20 till now, basically. And, there was also this sort of like strict discipline, the climbing up the ladder, there was also you felt there was some type of like authoritarianism, bullying going on. And in this country, in London, there's a lot of like austerity. It's all about the rich, the poor, whatever. It was a lot of that. So, and also Capricorn is the goat. So when it climbs a mountain, it climbs very small. It climbs very slowly to reach, the top. So there was a lot of that going on. And also there was a rise of there's a lot of billionaires that were made, a lot of empires that were built, and people that benefited from that, they rose up even more, especially during the pandemic. So yeah, there was a rise of empires, as we all saw. There was also a rise of these two generations of the Pluto in Virgo, 1959 to 1971, 72. And then the Pluto in Scorpio, 1983, 84 to 1995. These two generations, they rose up big time because it was their time, guys. The planets never lie. It always shows what things are going to be about. So these generations came into their own, good or bad, they came into their own, and they showed us things, whether we liked it or not, things were being shown. And I have spoken about these two generations on my podcast. I've spoken about the Pluto in Virgo, and also Pluto in Scorpio, so check those out, guys. So yes, a lot of that, and we're, again I said, we're still in it. Like we've seen this year, but I will be talking about 2022 energies, so listen out for that. So yes, there was a lot of that happening, and even during when Pluto was in Capricorn, we had the credit crunch. We had especially a lot of the Pluto in Libra generation who came up in the noughties. They felt that crunch. They felt the tide was turned. There was a lot of tide turning, and yeah, we hit a recession. But even during that recession, people still could rise up. Pluto being in Capricorn has also showed us that, even because Capricorn is ruled by Saturn, it showed us a lot of harshness. It showed us that, it was very rare we saw a little bit of care. Because what Pluto does, it opens up gates of uncertainty. It also opens up gates of the dreadness that's going on into the world. It opens up things that are benefiting you, and it also shows things that you need to work on. It also shows things that you need to improve on. It's very much a taskmaster. It was big on capitalism. So there was a huge reform that was going on, a huge reform, and it was definitely about class. It was definitely about race. It was definitely about who has got what, who you should really align yourself with. At sometimes it was extremely painful to watch, especially coming to the ending of which we are heading now. We're coming to the ending of Pluto in Capricorn. We're seeing that last push, that last grab. And it wasn't just this year, it was coming to when it was 2020, what was going on. And, Capricorn in the tarot is ruled by the Devil card. So there was a lot of, even all of us, regardless, that we were chained to certain things, and we thought that that was going to be it forever. There was a lot of manipulation. There was some stoic, horrific ways, but also there was some people be willing to like go against the grain and speak their truth. But there was a lot of shutting down. But you can't blame Capricorn for that. This is what Pluto in Capricorn is showing us. And sometimes in order for us to get to the greatness, we need to see the awfulness of it. But unfortunately, because Capricorn does have some goodness to it, Pluto actually dug out the worst sides. And I'm sure some of you may agree with that. But I feel that if you did do like the work, you actually really benefited, regardless if things were really harsh for you, but you persevere, because Capricorn is also about persevering. And with it being with Pluto, it's like, you're doing that deep inner dark work to persevere, to carry on, and to also shine in a way, and to show that, I've come through this and you can too, even if it did feel materialistic on a worldwide scale. Also, obviously, I think what helped it was Neptune being in Pisces. So we did see a rise in astrology. We did see a rise in tarot, a rise in yoga, meditation. And I felt that was really beneficial to Pluto and Capricorn, because not everyone could survive what was going on and still survive in it. I felt that because a lot of us may have felt this huge push and desperation at times to keep up with the Joneses, it was very stressful, and not a lot of us made it. A lot of us are still struggling. A lot of us are still poorer. A lot of us are still, even the mental, because Pisces rules Capricorn's third house. Mentally, we could have felt everything was okay on the outside, but on the inside we were crumbling. So when this was happening, when Neptune went into Pisces in 2010-11, and it's still in there now, if you did any like spiritual work, whether it was anything to do with yoga, meditation, or something just to help you, I felt it was actually a great thing. And we're still seeing a coming up of this, and we also seeing like a generation also helping with this. And me personally, I actually did start to do meditation and yoga in 2010, but that was before I realized what exactly was going on, because I was always been into astrology, but it actually makes sense that I started to get into it. And it actually helped me to, and I'm sure some of you may agree, it actually helped you to sort of distance yourself from that race of rising to the top, because, that our energy definitely could have burnt out quickly during Pluto in Capricorn. And, even though we're still in it, we're coming to the tail end of it. And the tail end, especially when it's 29 degrees, the tail end is always showing us that, we're still doing that work of, some of us, I feel that if you are doing that spiritual work, some of us are seeing that, we are actually happy not trying to, have as much TikToks or have as much followers, or, doesn't mind being a leader, doesn't mind, working hard, but, you're comfortable in what you're doing. And are we, and it's also helping us ground in the fact that we don't have to be keeping up with the Joneses. So it helped with that sort of like grounding, but it's not to say it helped completely. I felt it just helped in a way, because like I said, it's been quite harsh with the Pluto in Capricorn. It's the rise of the power and control, and but now we're edging to Pluto in Aquarius. And the most recent time when Pluto was in Aquarius, because it's really strange what's happening, because even in 2025-26, yeah, we as you guys know, we are in air era. We started in air era in 2020, and it was the Jupiter-Saturn conjunction. That was the beginning, and the next 20 years we're going to go into the Jupiter-Saturn conjunction in Libra. Then the next one's going to be in Gemini, and there's going to be so on for the next 800 years. So one of the reasons why I'm very, very passionate about, like, especially my generation, Pluto in Libra, is because they're going to be the next, I've said this before, they're going to be the next leaders. They're going to be the people that are going to herald a new change, but they're going to have help. They're going to have help with the Pluto in Sagittarius generation, 1995 to 2008. These children, I say, they are all about the money, their self-worth at the moment, and Pluto in Libra are all about their Pluto in Libra, they're all about their family. They're doing that inner work. A lot of them are, some of us are breaking down because there's so much past issues that are coming up, emotional past issues, and we have to work. We're working, but we also have a family to raise, but we're also dealing with emotional trauma, so these two generations, they're not saying too much, but when it comes like next year going forward, we're going to start seeing more of them. So I say that, talking about the air era, because the last time the Pluto was in Aquarius, Uranus is going to be going into Gemini into 2025. So it's not long. And that was the last time when Pluto was in Aquarius. So if we're going to go back, when I looked at what was happening when we went back, when Pluto was edging into Aquarius, we had the African slaves were brought to the New World in 1525. And that's when Pluto was in Capricorn. And it started off that was like the beginning of the transatlantic slave trade. And it took off more when Pluto was in Aquarius. But also, what was also happening in 1777 to 1797, when Uranus was in Taurus, that's when Pluto entered Aquarius, guys. And you guys could even look this up for yourself, because there's so much information, whether you read it in a book, whether you read it on the internet. There was so much, during the last time Pluto was in Aquarius, there was so much people, countries, like rebellion, there was so much, even like the French Revolution, which in 1789, it overthrew the monarchy, and all types of things. There was like bloodbaths going on and industrial revolutions going on. There's so much to pick from. So I feel that when Pluto does enter Aquarius, of course, there's going to be a generational shift. Okay, this is like the previous generational shifts in Pluto in Virgo and Pluto in Scorpio who made that shift. There's going to be a new one happening. And I said in the beginning, I could say what could happen, like all of astrologers or tarot readers can say what happens. But remember, we're dealing with Uranus here, and Uranus does not play. Aquarius is very much a sign that how it appears is very much how we think things are. You can have an Aquarius friend and they could, dress really casual one day. The next day, half day he is purple. The next day, and after then it's red. And they've done something to their face. They've put marks on their face. But they're talking to you like normal. Then the next day you see them, they're dressing a bit different. And they're talking quite crazy. It's very unpredictable. So you can imagine what can happen when it goes into. I mean, I would not be surprised, guys, if we see like a whole, because Aquarius does rule friendships, groups, organization, humanitarianism, the LGBTQ community as well. It's also about freedom. It's about rebellion. It's about things that could just be turned upside down on a whim. So I feel all of that is going to be reformed. A lot of things are going to be dug up. And even on a personal scale, guys, I feel that a lot of us are going to be seeing who we are aligning ourselves with. And because obviously Pluto's about secrets, so there's going to be a lot of there could be a lot of digging up on certain organizations or groups that we affiliate with, and we're going to see that some of these things are not really the one. I feel that a lot of us are going to be gaining a lot more self-knowledge, more awareness of ourselves in how we are tied to things and how we're seeking freedom. And all the other Aquarian themes as well. I feel there's going to be a whole reform on all of the themes of Aquarius. And some of this is not going to be great for a lot of us, but some of this will be, it was like, this is, thank God this has happened. We are, we live in the age of technology, and there's an obsession with that. We're not reading as much. We're not, everything is digital, which is a good thing. I wouldn't be surprised if all of us started wearing glasses, even children, because of this addiction to social media, this addiction to technology. Technology is going to be changing regardless. And obviously everything will be moving digital. I feel that we've all said it, that everything's going to move online. And it will be sad because we're not going to be seeing certain shops and certain supermarkets, malls, all of that. Everything's going to be moving online, and we're going to be seeing that, I feel that our attitude definitely does need to change, or, it could be a case of things are being forced to change. I'm sure a lot of you guys have heard about robots taking over. Yep. It's going to be really strange to see that. But, we're moving into technology era, the big time. We are in air era. So these are the things that can happen. Aquarius is also, and Uranus is also about breakthroughs. So if we've been stuck in any way, I feel a lot of us are going to be having lots of breakthroughs. I feel a lot of us are going to be having, it's a time of needing, or some of us could be experimenting with time by ourselves, into listening to what's going on within ourselves. Again, it's not going to be it's going to be quite uncomfortable, because we've moved from Earth era. We've been in Earth era for so long. The only time we was in air era was in 1982 till 2020, when it was in Libra. And then we were in the Jupiter-Saturn conjunction, which was in 1999 to 2021, for 20 years. That was in Taurus. But now it's just like what we were used to, what type of things we were chained to, is no longer going to be viable, because Aquarius is not a sign that is it's not a sign that's materialistic. It's a sign that is about brotherhood and the man and the woman all coming together. It's about freedom. It's about rebellion. So, our energy, because a lot of us will be seeking freedom from the tight restrictions that we've all been chained to for the past, especially, in our lifetime, what's happening now. And we're going to be breaking free from that. Aquarius is, it is about being around different types of people, but also it's about being by the self. It's not going to be a case of, being with certain people because they're on this, although Aquarius can be like that, but it's not going to be like a materialism, having to be around this person and that group because they got these followers and they got this. It's going to be like, what is your skills? What are you on about? What are you talking about? What can you reform? What can you restructure in a way that is to do with air? This is about the power shift, the power to the people. There's also been talk, and I feel it as well, that, there are going to be, the power shift will come to the people. Yeah, and it's not going to be a certain group of people. It's going to be a rainbow of people. Hence the reason why Aquarius is ruled by the LGBTQ community. And it's going to be that as well, but it's also going to be a rainbow of people. The next generation that is coming up, they are multi-ethnic. They're not just one race. They're not black or white. They got a lot of, they got everything in them. Well, not everything, but they've got different ethnicities in them. And I feel that we started to see that normalized when it was Pluto in Libra in the 70s and 80s. The mixed race culture, it's not even like mixed race culture, but mixed race relationships were very much normalized then. And we're seeing it passed down to other generations. So, we're going to be seeing different groups coming together and working together and not making the world how it used to be. We want a better world. We want a civilized world. And even when it comes to people in power, it's good. I've seen and I've heard, and I feel it's due to like this year or this decade, should I say, that there's lots of talk about demolishing this and getting rid of this, and I'm not even sure if the Pluto I think it was the Pluto in Scorpio generation that sort of like stepped up to the council culture. But we may see a lot of that. I don't think it will be more of the council culture. It'll just be more of we're used to that, but we no longer want it. We want to be free from that. Even when it comes to people in positions of power, and it's going to be more for the people. But remember, it's 20 years. So it's not going to be quick. It's going to be slow burn. It's going to be, things will change, but we have to work together to do it. Remember, Aquarius is about loyalty to a cause. It's not loyalty to it. Aquarius is from the fixed family. You've got Taurus, who is loyal to like money. You got Leo, who is loyal to their creative and passion. You got Scorpio, who is loyal to its, the intensity, but also the underneath things that are not being seen, and obviously shared resources. But you got Aquarius, who is loyal to a group, but more loyal to a cause. It's an air sign. And that's one of the reasons why people think Aquarius is very aloof. It's very not really saying it. Well, if it doesn't say anything, it's just like going from this group to that group because it's loyal to a cause. So yes, I wouldn't even say expect to see rises of protests and that, because that's we're seeing that with Saturn in Aquarius already. It's just that it's being restricted a bit, but we're starting to see it more in real time. But things will definitely change. And I think one of the dark side of Pluto in Aquarius is that when we are affiliated with a group or sort of association, is like, if you're not believing what I'm saying, then you're going to be ousted. And you have to, it's like it's in a way sort of programmed, like everyone's going to be sort of programmed to say the same thing. And if you're not, it's like, what are you about? But I feel, and I feel that definitely can happen. It's like everyone has to say the same thing, dress the same, be eccentric. But I feel that if you're working with a higher vibration of Pluto in Aquarius, is that, being around a group or association, but also saying your truth. And even if you are out in a group or association or anything like that, you're still being loyal to your belief system. And I feel that the arts will definitely change about bloody time. I feel the arts will definitely change. I feel the arts need to change. I feel it does need to be, and it will be, more opened to other races as well. And I feel even like the older generation, they, if you can't beat it, it's more or less joining it. So, I feel a lot of that can definitely go down. And yeah, when I talk about the arts, I feel that art-wise will be like very avant-garde, very futuristic, very, unfortunately, because what we've seen during Pluto and Capricorn is that we've seen a certain, only certain people can be in this type of society. But I feel with what Aquarius is all about is like anyone can join this. It doesn't matter what color or creed or race you are. Anyone can join as long as you're loyal to this cause. And even when it comes to like work life, I feel that would definitely change. It's gonna, because the sixth house to this is Cancer, and Cancer is about, Cancer is a very sensitive sign, but it's also a sign that deals with a lot of emotional issues. And I feel that with that is like, yeah, of course there'll be a lot more working from home, but it's also about self-care. A lot more emphasis on self-care. And even when I looked at when Pluto was in Aquarius, a lot of the Pluto is going to be in the sixth house, which is about, there could be a lot more power and control about, the work life, but it could also be taking care of the self. There'll be a lot more emphasis on emotional and mental health issues. And again, a lot more working from home. I feel it's more like if you want to, but regardless, even if you don't want to, all these offices and buildings may not be there, unfortunately. Or what we know is just not going to be there. And I'm going to miss a lot of it, guys. I really will. And yeah, so there'll be a lot more emphasis on, are you taking care of it, taking time off, and even when it comes to, family, it's like family's going to be first. It's about community. So there's a lot more on this. And even when it comes to like law and religion, it's going to be very different now. It's going to be like certain things that weren't put into place during the Earth era, it will be put into place now. It's going to be, because the ninth house to this is Libra, and it will definitely be more like, okay, Libra is about judgment, but it's about balance and fairness. So things will be, and guys, even when it comes to people who are barristers or judges, they will look different. They may be a bit younger. I feel that they're going to be Pluto in Sagittarius, actually. So they're going to be, again, heralding a different type of law and order, and I feel on one hand it's very exciting what we're going to be seeing, but on the other hand it's still a lot of uncertainty, because again, we're dealing with Uranus here, and Uranus is such a planet that does a lot of change, and some of the changes may not be to everyone's taste, but some of the changes will be. And we're all going to come into our power in a way, but we're all going to be, and I feel that a lot of us may definitely feel a bit more comfortable when it comes to seeking freedom and speaking our truth, and also, having time by ourselves, having that time by ourselves, because there will be, I do feel there will be things being built, just not in that Capricorn way. It'll just be more for everyone, so everyone can experience, everyone can enjoy. And I feel that even when it comes to how the world is going to be 10 years from now, it's just going to be so different. And there is going to be a nostalgia about the past, and I feel there's nothing wrong in that. There's nothing wrong with thinking about the past, because our past does rule our future. It can really benefit us in a way. It can also give us lots of inspiration, because if you don't know your past, how are you gonna understand your future? But we are also about moving forward, and there is going to be a case of, if you can't beat them, you just might as well join them. But it also will still be that push of, no, let's stick to how things used to be. And I fear that if some of us are like that, it's just going to be a case of, being left behind, and no one wants to be left behind. It's not about forcing ourselves to be pushed towards the future. It's more to do with understanding that the world has now changed, and also a new generation is changing it, especially the younger generation. They're changing things, and yes, they will make a lot of mistakes. And I feel that the younger generation, they will be asking the older generation for help, but still they will be in charge. Pluto opposite is Leo, and remember, we had the Pluto and Leo generation, especially when it was in the 60s. There was a lot of discord, there was a lot of drama happening when that happened, and we may see a lot of that happening. We may see a lot of the rise of greatness, but also the rise of craziness as well. So whenever we look at Aquarius, we always have to look at Leo as well, because I do feel that we will see some rock stars. We will see some badass people coming up, rising up, and not being afraid to say what they think and say what they know, and pushing for change. So yeah, it's just gonna. I feel it's just gonna be a bit of a wild ride, regardless when it goes. When it goes back into Capricorn again, it's like, oh, we're gonna have to reform this, but then it goes back into Aquarius again, and it's just gonna be very different. Like, I can see that when it goes into Capricorn, it's like, that happened. Let's do this quickly before. But when it goes back into Aquarius, something else is gonna change. After when it goes back into Capricorn, it's going to be like, we've got to change this. It's going to be a lot of that. And I feel that when it does go into Capricorn, it won't be able to keep up. Capricorn and Aquarius get on very well because they're very similar. But regardless, when it changes, ebbs and flows, it's going to constantly change. So keeping up with that is going to be very hard. So, guys, listen out for, because I haven't done the other two generations. I've done Pluto in Cancer, Leo, Virgo, and Scorpio. But I'm going to be doing the Pluto in Libra and Sagittarius next year, because of the shifts that they're going to be making. And even though the shift they're going to be making is very exciting, still they're going to come up against some craziness as well. It won't be all plain sailing. I'll say 5% probably, not all plain sailing. But still, they're going to be, I'll say like 90% is going to be really great for them. But still, they have to come up with certain things too. So yeah. So I'm looking forward to Pluto in Aquarius, what it has to bring. Still just trying to keep open to what's going to happen too. I feel that we should try and all keep open, because nothing really is set in stone when this happens. And yeah, that's like my 2 cents worth of Pluto in Aquarius. So guys, thank you guys very much for listening, and feel free to let me know what you think of this episode. I will be doing the Pluto in Aquarius for all of the signs. You can listen for it for your generation too. Obviously, Pluto in Cancer, Leo, and so on. Not the ones before, like we're not going to see Pluto in Aries or Taurus or Gemini. But yeah, I'm going to be putting this up, and feel free to like, share, and subscribe. And once again, thank you for listening, guys, and I'll speak to you soon. Take care.